The number 8 in the Bible represents a new beginning. It represents a new creation. It represents resurrection. Jesus' name in Greek is Jesus, and that name has a numerical value of 888, that is 888. The first beast of Revelation chapter 13, who receives a deadly head wound and comes back to life. That man, who has been calculated to be Prince Harry, also has a name that equals 888. Using base 6 English Gematria, which is ordinal English Gematria values multiplied by 6, Duke Sussex equals 888. Prince Harry's full name is Henry Charles Albert David, which has a value of 234 using ordinal English Gematria. 234 can be broken down into two numbers, 216 and 18. 216 has the factors 6 times 6 times 6, and 18 can be broken down into 6 plus 6 plus 6. Now, before I go any further, let me say, for those who do not know, Prince Harry has 7 Hebrew names that equal or reference the number 666. It should also be noted that Harry Charles Albert David also equals 234 using ordinal English Gematria. If we take the number 234 and double it so that we have 468, because there is 2 names that equal 234. Then if we take the number 468 and multiply it by 6, we get the number 2,808. 2,808 is a very curious number. Just like the number 1674, which is generated from 666 plus 66 times 6 plus 6 times 66 plus 6 times 6 times 6. Likewise, the number 2808 is generated from 888 plus 88 times 8 plus 8 times 88 plus 8 times 8 times 8. The number 2808 has the factors 13 times 6 times 6 times 6. 13 in the Bible represents rebellion and sin. Using Latin Gematria, the words 888 equals 148. The same Gematria value for Duke Sussex using ordinal English Gematria. Using ordinal English Gematria, the words 888 equals 265, which is the same value for the name Henry using standard Hebrew Gematria. If we go back to the number 234 and multiply it by 6, so that we get the number 1404, the following 3 names equal 1404 using standard English Gematria. Harry Great Dragon equals 1404. Mark of the Beast Crescent Moon equals 1404. And Yom Teruah also equals 1404 using standard English Gematria. It should also be noted that Strong's reference for dragon just so happens to be in Greek 1404. The Hebrew words Yom Teruah means day of alarm and marked the beginning of Daniel's 70th week on the 22nd of September 2017. It should be noted that crescent moon by itself equals 666 using standard English Gematria. It should be noted that Yom Teruah and crescent moon are both significant terms in relation to one another because Yom Teruah occurs at the sighting of the crescent moon. It should be noted that crescent moon equals 144 using ordinal English Gematria. The same value for Mark of the Beast also using ordinal English Gematria. Besides the names Harry Charles Albert David and Henry Charles Albert David equaling 1404, we have two other titles that equal that number that are relevant to the beginning of Daniel's 70th week. They are namely, and he that sat on him had a bow equals 1404 using base 6 English Gematria, as well as Invictus Toronto equals 1404 using base 6 English Gematria. It is relevant that we have Harry's name as well as a quote from Revelation chapter 6 verse 2, which is when the first seal is opened, as well as a reference to the platform from which the rider of the white horse is going forth conquering and to conquer upon, that is Invictus Games, as well as Yom Teruah, Mark of the Beast, Crescent Moon, and the Dragon. It is relevant that all these things are tied together with a number that is 1404, that I believe marks the halfway point of the final number, that is 2808 or 2808, when the Antichrist is resurrected from the dead. The resurrection of the Antichrist occurs in the year 2021 and lasts until the year 2024, when he is thrown into the lake of fire alive by Jesus Christ after the Battle of Armageddon. So from 2017 until 2024 is 7 years, and the number goes from 1404 to 2808. The 0 point therefore is 2010. This just so happens to be the year that Prince Harry was at the United Nations UNICEF headquarters making, I believe, his original covenant with the United Nations on the 27th of June 2010. The number 2808 using ordinal English Gematria equals 279, which, if multiplied by 6, equals 1674. 1674, as previously spoken, is a number that is saturated with the number 6, and it would seem that the number 2808 is tied to that number. The Greek letters chi, xi, and stigma, which represent the numbers 600, 60, and 6. Those Greek letters are seen in Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. They represent the number 600, 60, and 6. The English spelling for those letters, chi, xi, and stigma, when using standard English Gematria, equals 986. And using ordinal English Gematria, it equals 122. And using Jewish Old English Gematria, it equals 566. If we add these numbers together, we get 1674, which is the supersaturated number when it comes to the number 6. Also equaling 1674 is Antichrist looked to Harry, as well as Antichrist looked to Henry equals 1674 using base 6 English Gematria. There are 4 more calculations that relate to the number 1674, 2 of which involve the Grand Gematria of 279 multiplied by 6, as well as the standard and ordinal Hebrew Gematria values added together, equaling 1674. And lastly, a calculation that involves the numerical value of the word 1674. Let us briefly look at those calculations to highlight the significance of the number 1674 before we move on to our conclusion. The Greek letter stigma, which represents the number 6, when repeated 3 times, stigma, 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 represents in effect the number 666. Stigma, 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 using ordinal English Gematria, equals 207, and using Latin Gematria it equals 72. If we add these numbers together we get 279, which if multiplied by 6 equals 1674. The phrase covenant with many, which is a quote from Daniel chapter 9 verse 27, using ordinal English Gematria equals 207, and using Latin Gematria it equals 72, which if added together equals 279, and if multiplied by 6 equals 1674. The second last calculation is Harry Mountbatten Windsor, using standard Hebrew Gematria equals 666, and using ordinal Hebrew Gematria it equals 171. Using standard Hebrew Gematria, Antichrist looked to Harry equals 666, and using ordinal Hebrew Gematria it equals 171. If we add together these 4 numbers, 666, 666, 171 and 171, we get 1674. It should be noted that 666 and 171 are both triangular numbers, with a base of 36 and a base of 18 respectively. It should also be noted that both of these numbers are multiples of the number 6, that is 6 times 6 and 3 times 6 respectively. The last calculation that involves the number 1674 is that number in words equals 359 using ordinal English Gematria. This is the same value for Prince Harry Charles Albert David Wales, as well as Prince Henry Charles Albert David Wales, using ordinal English Gematria. So in Daniel chapter 7 we have 4 beasts. The 4th beast has 10 horns, and another horn comes up, which is the 11th horn, and is also known as the little horn. When we get to Revelation chapter 12, we have a beast that looks like a dragon, and it has 7 heads and 10 horns, not 11 horns. So this is a different beast. It's described as looking like a dragon. That is also different to the beast that we see in Revelation chapter 13, which looks like a leopard predominantly. So we therefore have a 5th beast and a 6th beast in Revelation chapter 12 and Revelation chapter 13 respectively. Now, since everything about the beast has to do with the number 6, I believe that the 6th horn of the 5th beast is Prince Harry, and also the 7th horn of the 6th beast is Prince Harry. And we transition from the 6th horn to the 7th horn through the death and resurrection of the Antichrist. 6th horn equals 135 using ordinal English Gematria. The same value for Prince Harry and Prince Henry, also using ordinal English Gematria. The Gematria value for 7th horn equals 148 using ordinal English Gematria, which if multiplied by 6 equals 888. The Gematria values are therefore consistent with the concept that I have just spoken, namely that the 6th horn will be resurrected into the 7th horn. I will say that again. The 6th horn, the Gematria value for that equals Prince Harry, which equals 135, as well as Prince Henry, using ordinal English Gematria. And the Gematria value for 7th horn equals 148, which if multiplied by 6 equals 888. That Gematria value, 888, stands for resurrection. 8 is the number in the Bible that represents resurrection. 8 is the number in the Bible that represents a new creation. 8 in the Bible is the number that represents a new beginning. Jesus was resurrected on the 8th day of the week. 7 days in the week, the 8th day of the week is Sunday, just as it is the first day of the week. The same can be said with a musical scale. There are 7 notes, and the 8th note is a repeat of the first note. So that's one reason that 8 represents resurrection. Jesus was resurrected on the 8th day of the week. And there are 2 more reasons why 8 represents a new beginning. It is on the 8th day that the Hebrew child is circumcised. This represents a new beginning. The second reason is that there were 8 souls on the ark, namely Noah, Shem, Ham, Japheth, and their 4 wives. The flood came, everyone else in the world perished, and there were 8 people that began civilization all over again. They had a new beginning. It should be noted that all the calculations involving 888, except for the calculation for Jesus' name in Greek, do not equate to that number directly, but have to be multiplied by 6. This is significant in telling us that the Gematria calculation for Jesus' name in Greek is unique, since it directly equates to that number without any multiplication. However, all the other calculations have involved the multiplication by the number 6, which is the number of man. This tells us that the resurrection of the Antichrist will be accepted by the majority of men, unlike the resurrection of Christ, which, according to Jesus when he spoke, narrow is the road and narrow is the gate that leads to life, and there are few that find it, and broad is the road and broad is the gate that leads to destruction, and there are many upon it.